Hello viewers, welcome to CEC Gurukul Lectures. I am Dr. Parveen Sharma. As we have already started a series on the topic developing positive attitude. Today in this session, we will discuss the theories of attitude. There are three categories of attitude theories. First is the cognitive consistency theories, then functional theories, and the third is the social judgment theory. And out of the first category, cognitive consistency theories, we have already discussed two theories, that is balance theory and congruity theory. Today we will discuss the remaining theories. The next theory is the affective cognitive consistency theory. As by now we are aware what is the importance of attitude and how they are important in one's life and how the attitudes are acquired and what are the components and characteristics of attitudes, what are the functions of attitudes, and what are the barriers which come in the way of attitude. Now we will discuss the theories of attitude formation. So let us begin with the theory, that is affective cognitive consistency theory. See, Rosenberg gave this theory which tells about consistency of a person's overall attitude, his or her belief and effect towards an object. It is also known as structured theory. It also examines the relationship between attitude and belief. When one's attitude towards an object or knowledge is inconsistent, then what happens? Definitely an unstable state occurs. Sometimes due to happening of some incident, we are forced to change our attitude. Then what goes on in our mind? This theory reflects or throws light upon this. We have to understand this. I mean to say, when something happens and one is forced to change his or her attitude, then on the event of or on the moment of changing the attitude, what goes on in the mind of an individual, we have to understand for this the two components, that is the affective component and cognitive component. See, what do we mean by cognitive component? Cognitive component indicates of an individual's mental process, meaning by one individual gets the information, then how that individual interpret that information by recognizing or by memorizing. And what do we mean by the affective component? It relates to one's feeling about an event or about an object, like hate, anger, love, sympathy, pity, mercy, these kinds of feelings. So here we would like to understand through this theory that when something happens, some circumstances changes in one individual's life, then one might be forced to change the attitude. And at that moment, what goes in the mind of the individual? To understand this, we have to understand the two components, that is cognitive component and affective component. See, when our attitude of a person changes, the affective and cognitive changes also occur in the individual, and it also throws light on the achievement of desired and undesired values of goals. When new information is given to an individual, cognitive aspects changes, which leads to change in overall attitude. This theory also states that when there is inconsistency beyond a certain level, then the inconsistency is reduced. How? Because when it goes beyond some tolerant level, then one tries to, or one makes effort to reduce that inconsistency. So this is what we mean by affective cognitive consistency theory. And in this category, the next theory is cognitive dissonance theory. Leon Festinger proposed this theory, and cognitive dissonance means when there is a mismatch between one's attitude and behavior. Such inconsistency will create a sort of discomfort, and one will try to come out of this discomfort state, and one individual will be motivated to come out of that condition, and one will be motivated to find the ways how to come out of that uncomfortable or discomfort state. It examines consistency among cognitive elements or beliefs about oneself, behavior, or environment. Try to understand beliefs about oneself, behavior, or environment. The attempt to reduce dissonance will be as per the higher degree of dissonance. Suppose there is an individual who has a habit of smoking but knows at the same time that smoking causes cancer. When the other person or an adult in the family or a teacher or a friend and whosoever the other person asks the person that you should leave the habit of smoking because it causes cancer, then what will happen? The person either has to leave smoking, or if that person doesn't leave the habit of smoking, then he may come in the state of denial, meaning I will use the defense mechanism that I know that smoking causes cancer, but I do not smoke so much. So this way, if the person doesn't leave the habit of smoking, will use the defense mechanism of denial. Everyone has to face this state of dissonance in one's life sometime, off and on. It states that there are 3 types of relationship between all cognitions, that is dissonance, consonance, and irrelevance. Now we will try to understand what is dissonance, what is consonance, and what is irrelevance. If the ideas are opposed, it is dissonance. Cognition or consonance when one follows his or her beliefs on the basis of logic. When one knows that I am following the beliefs or opinion and I am behaving logically, then it is known as the stage of consonance. And what is irrelevance? When 2 elements are not related at all to each other, then it is known as the stage of irrelevance. Cultural mores, specific opinions, and new experiences makes the elements logically or psychologically inconsistent, which leads to dissonance. When one comes out or interact with the people, then acquire new experiences, and his or her own cultural mores or beliefs forces the individual to accept those opinions to which he or she already clings, which leads to dissonance because the person is already have formed the opinion or gets the new experiences. Dissonance varies in degrees. When faced with dissonance, the individual seeks to avoid situation. Sometimes one takes the decision, and after deciding something, what happens? One tries to find the negative effects of the accepted opinion and the positive effects of the rejected one. It reminds me the famous poem of Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken. It happens in our day-to-day life कि हमने कुछ काम शुरू किया, जरा सा उस रास्ते पर समस्या आई नहीं कि हमें लगता है कि हम दूसरा रास्ता चुनते तो बेहतर होता. So it happen off and on in one's life. This way we keep on thinking. For example, the head of the institution asks an employee that you do not purchase anything without my consent. If I permit you, only then you have to proceed with the purchasing. So this statement or this order of the boss or the head will bring two attitudes in the mind of that individual. On one hand, that individual may feel bad that don't I have the intelligence, don't I have the capacity to purchase this product, because already I have been purchasing, I am into this field. And the other reaction, other opinion or other thought of that individual can be, now I will be free from the responsibility because I will be purchasing the product on the permission of the head, because if there comes out some flaw or some defect in the product, then it all will be the responsibility of the head. So there can be these two kind of the reaction in the mind of that individual, and this is attitude contradiction. This dissonance will be moderated by modifying the perception or belief. So this is all about this cognitive dissonance theory. Now, after these two theories of this category, we will discuss the next category of the theory, that is functional theory. It is connected with the motive aroused and one's choosing the method of fulfilling his or her own goals. Attitudes serve different purposes for different people. That happening or that event or that situation may bring a change in the mind or in the attitude of an individual and may not bring any change in the mind of the another individual, because one situation may bring different reaction in the mind of the different people. So it matters. And Katz identified 4 personality functions, attitudes as utilitarian function, ego defensive, value orientation, and knowledge function. When we discuss the functions of attitude, we discussed these in detail, but here in this reference we will discuss in brief. Utilitarian function acknowledges the behaviorist principle that it is the tendency of the individual that one will be motivated to gain reward and will try to avoid the punishment. So this is utilitarian function. And the another is the ego defensive function. It emphasizes the psychological principle that people use defense mechanism, that is denial, repression, projection and rationalization, to protect their self-image and self-personality, to self or to save or to protect themselves from the external threats. Then value expressive function acknowledges the importance of self-expression and self-actualization. And further, The knowledge function presumes a basic human need to gain a meaningful, stable, and organized view of the world. According to Katz, for this change in attitude, one of the two conditions must prevail. The activities no longer provide the satisfaction as it used to give earlier. A level of aspiration has been raised. Try to understand how the change in attitude occurs. It requires one of the two conditions. Either the individual has stopped acquiring the satisfaction with the earlier benefits or other activities, or it might be possible that now the individual is not happy because the aspiration level or the goals of the individual has been raised. That's why is having dissatisfaction and is motivated to do more and more and want to go on fulfilling the further level of the goals because the aspiration level of the individual has been raised. Further, in this theory, we will discuss the views of the great educationist Kalman. Kalman has given different functional approach of attitudes: compliance, identification, and internalization. Now, we will try to understand what Kalman meant by compliance, identification, and internalization. You know, when we are talking about change in attitude, when a person changes his or her attitude, it may be due to three conditions. First, according to compliance, it might be possible that the individual who is changing his or her attitude has come to know that if I change my attitude, I will be availing more and more benefits of this person. So that is compliance. And the next is the identification. Why the person changes his or her attitude when an individual just want to maintain the good relationship with the second person. Only due to this factor the person changes the attitude. But the third, that is the internalization. If out of this condition a person changes his or her attitude, meaning by that the person is fully accepting or agreeing to that opinion of the other person, that is why the person has changed his or her attitude. So this theory wants to emphasize on this fact that when a person brings a change in his or her attitude, it can be out of these three conditions, that is compliance, identification, and internalization. Meaning by in the first stage the person is having some benefit of the other person, and in the second identification one, the individual is just trying to maintain good relationship with that fellow. But the third one, that is internalization, is when one is fully agreeing to the person that I agree to your opinion, that is internalization. Then I hope this theory is clear to you. Now we will discuss the next theory, that is the social judgment theory. Sherif and Hovland propounded this theory. According to this theory, a person's initial attitude towards an issue serves as an anchor for the judgment of attitude related stimuli. Meaning by in day-to-day life or in particular situation, one tries to make judgment about an issue, about a person, or about any opinion. When an individual has to make judgment, what happens? For judging the event or the person or the happening, one tries to evaluate the things. One tries to evaluate the information received. It is the human tendency of the individual. Sometime after receiving or after getting the information, one tries to distort the information as suits to the individual. यानी हमें किसी ने राय दी, उसमें से जो राय हमें अच्छी लगी उसको हमने एक्सेप्ट कर लिया, दूसरी को नहीं, अकॉर्डिंग टू आवर पर्सनैलिटी. दिस इज नोन एज एक्लेक्टिक अप्रोच. It explains how existing attitudes get distorted. When we were talking about perception in making the attitudes, but this theory tells that when we perceive the things, sometimes this perception is also colored or influenced by our prior opinion about that issue or about that persons, because this theory explains that how individuals' initial attitudes serve as a reference point to evaluate opinion of others, because already we are having some opinion about that person or about that event. So our perception or how we judge the things or how we evaluate the personality of the individual, our opinion and our judgment, our evaluation will be definitely colored by that initial information, because that initial information will serve as a anchor, because on the basis of that initial information we will try to evaluate the person. So whatever suits or whatever fits in our framework, we try to judge that person or event according to that. When there arises a new issue, it is determined by personal involvement or ego involvement. We have talked a lot about ego defense mechanism. When one tries to evaluate or judge somebody or some event, what happens? Gets involved personality, or tries to, if our ego is involved in that judgment, it colors that opinion. When there is a new message, our ego involvement will affect it, whether to accept or reject it. Sometimes we know that the idea given by the other person is correct, but sometimes our ego arises and our ego does not allow us to be agreeing to the opinion of that person. So this ego involvement sometimes come in the way of accepting that idea. When we discussed in our last lecture about the barriers of attitudes or barriers which come in the way of developing positive attitude, we discussed this issue. Then means prior attitude of a person distort the perception of the positions advocated in persuasive messages, which further mediate personality. Means one accepts and encompasses the opinion that best characterize his or her own stand. Meaning by, according to this theory, when one tries to make judgment or evaluate the person or the event, what happens? His or her own ego comes in the way, and according to that one tries to accept or reject the opinion. So according to our own ego, our own personality, our own perception, we try to accept or reject the things. So this theory tries to explain how the attitudes of an individual are formed, how the individual is not able to accept the right thing because the person actually from internally knows that this is the right opinion, this is the right judgment, but his or her own initial opinion or ego involvement does not allow the person to accept the correct thing. This comes in the way. An individual's most preferred position located within the latitude of acceptance is known as anchor. The latitude of rejection is the range of opinion one finds objectionable. Sometimes we unnecessarily reject the new innovation because we already are having a strong opinion about that, strong attitude about that, and we are not ready to change that attitude because we do not find sometime any logic why we should change the attitude. So there is one more situation where individual neither accepts nor rejects the opinion. It is known as latitude of non-commitment. As much our ego involvement is there, more the rejection. See, when we are talking in this theory about the acceptance of the opinion or rejection of the opinion, so it depends how much we have involved our ego, because sometimes we frame it as our ego issue. Then if the ego involvement is more, then the person will not be able to come out of the comfort zone. Last time we discussed some of the opinions we hold very strongly and we do not want to change that attitude, that opinion. So one is not ready to come out of the comfort zone, because when one has to accept the idea of the other person or attitude of the other person, one has to change the attitude. Definitely one will have to come out of the comfort zone, and for that one is not ready easily. So such individual will not change his or her attitude to accept the things and will keep on rejecting the things or the opinions which do not suit or match to his or her own likings. Internally, the person knows that the other person is right, but will not be ready to accept the things. We discussed last time also that most of the time these threats which do not allow us to change our attitudes are not external. Most of the time these are created by our own doubts, by our own misperceptions, because we ourselves create worries for ourselves. So these are our internal worries, our anxieties, our doubt on ourselves, which create or which poses the threat for us, which do not allow us to change the attitude. So this is what we discussed in social judgment theory, and I hope all these theories will be clear to all viewers and listeners. And I believe and I am sure that the thorough understanding of these theories of attitude formation will make us able to understand and will help us to adapt and follow the ways and techniques to develop the positive attitude we will discuss in our next session. And I hope these theories will help you to understand all these attitude formation and will help us to acquire the positive attitude. Thank you.